If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Priwen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I can guarantee one thing. The Guard of Priwen would never dare to attack the hospital while I'm in charge here.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Priwen come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
Thank you, Edgar. Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but... well, maybe it was him.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
So many deaths.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Doctor.
Can you tell me anything about
Before the shouts and the noises, I think I heard whispers coming from the stairs. 2 voices, maybe more.
Did you recognize the voices? What did they say?
I couldn't hear. Sounded like they were arguing or something.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. The pain.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins. What can you tell me about the...
Everybody's afraid. Death has always been a frequent visitor. But murder? How can we cope with that?
As a nurse at this hospital, it is your duty to deal with these things as best you can.
Yeah. Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reed. I've seen what that monster did to the woman.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. What on earth happened here? Good evening, Miss.
I need blood, Doctor.
Is there any...
Many things can happen under cover of night, Dr. Reed. But I took no part in this massacre.
But did you see or hear anything?
I can't say I did. But the smell of fresh blood almost made me faint, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark. It's locked. Good evening.
And good evening.
Can you tell me?
I'm sure it was not your fault, Dr. Reed.
My fault? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. It's just... I heard it was you who brought the murderer inside our walls. But you couldn't know, could you?
Goodbye. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Please.
I heard Miss Jones call for help from her bedroom. There were some loud noises, like people fighting. All of a sudden, it went quiet. And then a nurse started screaming.
Do you know who the nurse was?
Not sure, but I think it was Nurse Hawkins.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the...
Someone killed Miss Jones in her room, and Mr. Hampton's gone missing. Doesn't take a genius to piece it together.
You don't seem shocked by any of this.
Why should I be? Whoever did this must be long gone by now. And besides, he got rid of the old bag.
Goodbye, Milton.
Oh, Jonathan. I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman. Butchered by some savage scowl.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the scowl, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
Have you embraced this woman, like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols, or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
Hey!
What can you tell me?
All I know is I ain't letting anyone rip my throat out in my sleep. I found myself a nice blade, Doc. I'm ready.
I'll leave you for now. It seems the Priwen are redoubling their patrols in the district. I must be more careful.
It's elite! Leech spotted! Watch out, boys! It's a leech! Watch it! It's a killer! Watch out for that team! Christ, he's dead! Over there!
This is Braille. I need someone who can read this.
You won't get me here! Get out! Come on! And I will show you how a wet boot does business! What are you people? Get away from me, you bastard! Get the fuck out, you crazy bastard! You won't get me here! Get out! Get away from me, you bastard!
Are you all right, sir? What are you doing in a place like this?
I'm not sure that's any of your business.
I hope you realize that staying here will put your life at great risk.
Pah! I'm not afraid of these guards of Priwen, or whatever these thugs call themselves. I can still kick some respect into those youngsters.
I wasn't specifically referring to them, but are you really after these men? Why?
They took my boy! I've had no news since he joined that crazy gang. So I decided to come and find him myself, to get some answers.
I see. But as I said... your life is at risk if you stay here. And I'm not referring to the gangs either. You should leave, sir.
Well, this part of town used to be nicer, let's say. Perhaps you're right. This isn't the best way to save Andrew.
There is a name engraved under the blood on the back of the case. Jack Gillingham. Maybe I should return this watch to his family. Are you sure?
Young man, I am perfectly capable of defending myself.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Why must it always be a good evening?
I was just being polite. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you some questions, if I may.
Don't like questions. Or doctors. And the name is Seymour Fishburne, if you must know.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
A shithole filled with maggots. Liars and thieves, all of them.
Are you thinking about someone in particular?
Nope. Hate them all. Especially these petty, whining little shitbag beggars.
Is there no one who deserves your leniency, then?
Well, Tom from our local is somewhat of a decent bloke. At least, unlike most maggots, he knows how to listen without opening his trap.
What's your occupation?
I take care of my mum. That's what I do. She's the only good thing in my life. Even though I don't treat her so good.
You seem upset. Is something bothering you?
I lost the necklace I bought her. I'm a fucking idiot. A worthless idiot.
Sometimes it's hard to be a good son.
I just want her to smile. No, I was thankful for her patience, appreciated like... God knows she deserves it.
Any chance you can help me find Sean Hampton?
The sad saint. Why would you talk to that cunt?
Actually, that's confidential.
Really? Well, go ask someone else then. I'm sure Tom Watts will gladly answer you.
Goodbye, Mr. Fishburne.
I can feel it coming in my bones. A hatred. A wave of bitter death to drown and purge our sea.
Good evening, miss. I am Dr. Reed. May I ask you a few questions?
Who are you? What do you want?
As I just told you, I'm a doctor. From the Pembroke Hospital, actually.
The Pembroke Hospital, you say? I ain't paying any bill left by Clay.
I'm not here to collect payment, Miss...
Miss Edwina Cox. So what do you want then? Fancy buying something from me, maybe?
What can you tell me about your work?
I'm a businesswoman. I buy and sell things, and I send my wet boot boys after anyone who don't play nice with me.
Gang member and shopkeeper. Can't be easy running double shifts.
If you're interested, I may find use of a doctor who can freely walk across the city, you know.
I'm not interested in a career in the criminal underworld, Miss Cox.
Fair enough. Stay away from us then, if you don't want to get hurt or worse.
Since my return from the war, I don't feel that concerned by threats, knives, or even bullets, if you must know.
That's exactly what that stupid trade unionist claimed after he attacked one of us. Booth and I reminded him a bullet beats words every time.
You're quite blunt, aren't you?
I like people who know what they want and say what they think. This is a time of great opportunity for those ready to embrace their destiny.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
You can't trust anyone around here. As soon as you lower your guard, you can be sure some arsehole will take advantage of you.
Really? Don't you think that's a little bit excessive?
Bastards, all of them. This region only responds to violence and threats.
You sound like you're thinking of somebody in particular.
Take the gravediggers of Southwark. They must pay me every week, but it looks like they forgot who gave them permission to steal from the dead.
Looting corpses in a mass grave. That is a new low.
Whatever. Hey, since you're a doctor and all, maybe you can access that forbidden area and remind those bastards what they owe.
Can I see what you have to sell?
As long as you have money, I'll show you all I have.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm looking for Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where I could find him?
The sad saint? I heard he was mugged or something.
Yes, he was. But he left hospital recently.
You don't say. Well, I suppose it's good news for the homeless and the useless. Ask them, they must know something.
Goodbye, Miss Cox. Good evening, sir.
Who the fuck are you? Don't you see I'm busy here?
Dr. Jonathan Reed, that's who I am. And who are you?
Ah, some fancy gentleman we've got here. Clear off. We don't want strangers on our streets.
So you won't tell me your name, then?
The name is Booth Digby. Maybe I'll ask my boys to break one or two of your bones, just so you remember it.
Are you some kind of vigilante patrolling these streets at night?
Something like that, but the police aren't in charge here. We are, see?
So you're a concerned criminal, is that it?
Using funny jokes about me and my boys, are you? Fuck. You must have some balls.
I saw many men like you during the war, Mr. Digby. Greedy little cockroaches who feed on despair.
I could kill you for saying that. But, nah. You've been a soldier. I can respect that.
So, tell me about your gang, then.
What? Have you got a death wish? You really want me to answer that?
Well, yes. You seem so proud of your status. Why not tell me who you're working for?
Oi! I'm the boss, all right? The wet boot boys work for me. All of them. Situation round here is better than other districts because of us. Because of me.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
Things ain't that bad, thanks to us. We give people what they need, and we control this borough.
Well, you're not doing a very good job. People are still dying here, like everywhere else.
Yeah, well, we can't be everywhere all the time. And Edwina says if we can find more guns, we could be more efficient.
More efficient? Really? You should probably tell Edwina that guns are useless against diseases and infections.
Incredible. You know what? You're lucky she can't hear you right now. She's more smart than patient. My sweet queen of the docks.
Tell me about the man you killed, Booth. What happened?
One of us had been killed, so we had to retaliate. That's the whole story.
There has to be more to it than that.
No, really, one of us got killed, so the killer had to die. That's how things have always been done round here. No one gives a shit.
I think you're wrong. Maybe the docks have always been violent, but you can't say the living don't suffer because of it.
And then what? Let the commies and the anarchists rule? Nah. We're the wet boot boys. Our fathers died on these docks and they belong to us.
Do you know where I can find Sean Hampton? I need to talk to him.
The sad saint. Why on earth do you want to talk to him?
He was one of my patients at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, yeah. I heard the poor bastard had been abducted by some cunt. You better ask Tom Watts. He knows Sean Hampton well.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby. I cannot enter.
You again. What do you want?
I know you're looking for an honest job, Booth. You're tired of this criminal life, aren't you?
It's just an idea. Edwina loves to run things so much. You can never really leave the gang. Wet boys for life, you know.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby. Good evening.
Hello again.
Booth Digby looks at you with love-struck eyes. Tell me, Edwina, is the feeling mutual?
You have no idea how refreshing it can be for a woman to receive all the pleasure she needs. For once.
I'll take your word for it.
What is it, Doctor? A woman's not supposed to talk about these things.
Behind all your crude words and your attitude, I sense romance and a soft heart. Miss Cox?
Romance? I have no time for such rubbish. I use Booth like I use everyone else.
Tell me about the man you and Booth killed, Edwina.
The bastard killed one of us and received retribution. There's nothing else to say.
What happened exactly?
I don't know and I don't care. One of ours was killed by that communist bastard, but he didn't brag for long.
So you have no idea what really happened, but you executed him anyway.
No one messes with the Wet Boot Boys, Doctor. This is our territory, and this is our law.
And your conscience is clear. You kill without hesitation.
Violence is an efficient tool, Dr. Reed, when used properly.
So you decide who lives and who dies, just like that.
Yes, Doctor. Just like that. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying it's my way of dealing with troublemakers.
Goodbye, Miss Cox.
Mark my words, miss. These murders are the work of a vampire.
A vampire? Whatever do you mean?
I'm a tracker of these creatures. A vampire hunter.
You best be off to your hunting then. For if the sewer dog is back and hunting all these poor folk, he needs a catching.
A sewer dog? What's it look like?
It's an old story. A monster with daggers for teeth and icy claws. He comes of a sudden, nighttime, claiming innocence, then vanishes.
Teeth, claws, murders by night? Your sewer dog is my business. He's the kind of prey I hunt, milady.
Not a drop of blood left in his body. This is the work of a vampire. Evening, miss.
Well, I never. That's a first. Customers who make that much mess rarely come back. Never mind in fancy togs.
I'm much more myself than when we first met. By the way, I'm Jonathan, Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Welcome back to the Turquoise Turtle then, Doctor. I'm Sabrina Cavendish. How can I help you?
What can you tell me about this area?
People don't appreciate that line of questioning round here. You best be more careful with what you say, sir.
You look concerned, Miss Cavendish.
This is a bad borough. Most people I know are afraid. Most locals will rob you blind, or worse. You best mind your step.
So you and your friends all feel in danger? No exceptions?
Tom's the only exception I've come across until now. But he's not like everybody else.
This place seems, how shall I put it, very colourful. I'm sure it has plenty of stories to tell.
We get people of all sorts here. It's that rare place in the docks where you can have a drink without being murdered. At least it's not happened yet.
So this bar is neutral territory, then?
Yeah. Tom's convinced this is something the locals need. No one ever draws a weapon here. That's one of the reasons I accepted the job.
Your boss must be quite the negotiator to force such an agreement.
Yeah. Tom's a great bloke. Mr. Hampton, who runs the night asylum, he's the only other man that's able to keep peace around here.
Excuse my curiosity, but where exactly are you from, Miss Cavendish?
Something bothering you? What, my name? Or my complexion?
Believe me, I never judge someone on their place of birth or the colour of their skin.
If that's true, you'd be one of the few not to make fun of me. Just you, Tom, Dyson, Miss Fishburne, and of course Mr. Hampton.
I'm sorry if I worried you. I was just curious to find out if you know this part of town well.
Nosy. My dad was a sailor from Bombay, and my mum was a maid born up in Glasgow. They got married in London. And here I am.
Sabrina, Tell me about your true feelings for your boss.
I love Tom. Not ashamed of it. Don't care if the customers joke about it, neither.
Who's mocking you?
I mean, we're always together. People will talk, won't they?
Does Tom love you?
Yeah, but he's always reluctant to take it further. It's not because I'm younger, or because of the colour of my skin. He hates jokes about us.
Miss Cavendish, would you be willing to help me locate Sean Hampton?
You better ask Tom, sir.
Why not answer me directly?
We respect the privacy of our customers here, sir. Only Tom can decide who to speak to and what he'll say to them.
Goodbye, Miss Cavendish.